Pastor Roy Baker here. I want to talk to you for a few minutes about what strategic planning could look like for you. So strategic planning, there's a lot of different ways to do it, but ultimately it helps you achieve and obtain the goals that you want for your personal life, your organization, or whatever. The plan that I want to talk to you about briefly is one where, number one, you have your direction set for your life. In other words, you figure out what goals, where do you want to be? And you identify those things. And then number two, you figure out the situational analysis. What's true of your current reality where you're trying to minister or achieve those goals, whatever they are. Number three, what's your critical mass? In other words, the leaders and the tools. What resources do you have to get from where you currently are to where you want to be? And then the fourth thing are the path steps. What steps or what practical things do you need to do that's not just intentional, not just good intentions, but rather directional to get you to your goals? And then you evaluate. Are we getting there? Are we moving there? So let me update you on what the church is doing using a strategic planning process. We have this goal or this direction of we want to love God and love others well. We've said our vision statement is that through Christ, we will create a loving environment where people are introduced to Jesus and equipped to reach the world for Christ. So that's where we want to go. The situational analysis, as it relates to January of 2021, is that we're coming out of this COVID pandemic, and we're recognizing that in December, we had over 100 people at our church with COVID because the outbreak was so bad in our community. And even after we stopped doing in-person services, we still were seeing several people in our church testing positive. In light of that, we're also aware that the hospital was being overwhelmed, and so that they were calling in RNs to help serve because so many nurses and hospital staff were in quarantine, and we did not want to contribute to the problem. So in light of the situational analysis and the current reality we're ministering in, we looked at our critical mass. We have Ian, who is behind the camera right now. We have technology. We have pastors. We said, what do we do to love God and love others well in light of the current reality, in light of the resources that we have? And then we generated these path steps, 5 things we decided we were going to do. Number one, that is to do worship services online for a season. We'll continue to worship, we'll continue to give you Bible teaching. That number 2, that we're doing the Zoom prayer meetings, that we have online prayer meetings, we do a weekly prayer sheet, and we're praying for one another during the season. Number 3, we have virtual groups, and we're having a training this month for our Bible study leaders to help make sure that during this season, temporary season, we're looking forward to in-person services again, but during this season we want to train our leaders to be able to host online groups well. 2 new segments that we're doing, which is number 4, an equipping piece where we can train and develop through discipleship and practical principles like this strategic planning process, for example, how to equip our people to be more successful during this season of time. And then the last thing are life stories. Normally we would be interacting with one another, getting updates on personal life and what's happening. In this season, we don't have that. So we're going to be recording and sharing stories of personal testimonies of people coming to Christ, things that God's been teaching people during this season, how people are coping and dealing with things that have been happening this past year. We're going to get into each other's lives and share those. So those are 5 of the things, path steps, that we're doing as a church to be able to continue to love God and others well, and then we're going to evaluate that, and hopefully the situational analysis changes and it'll look a little different. But that's an example of strategic planning and how that those concepts of recognizing the direction you want to go, identifying your current reality of where you're at, recognizing the resources you have so you can figure out how to get from where you currently are to where you want to be, and evaluate that process can help you be more successful and better equipped to succeed. And I pray and hope and trust that you will do that and you will thrive through this.